Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about the 2020 JHK Forecast. I have an update to share with all of you. So in case you haven't heard from my Twitter, by the way, we only have 14 followers on the Twitter, guys. Can we get to 20 followers? If we do, I'll be very happy. I don't know what I'll do, because, social media other than YouTube is not a top priority for me. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm not going to be that person who links their social media everywhere and begs for follows. That's my personal life. I do have a Twitter because I want to keep you guys posted on current events. But again, I don't expect any personal social media links because that's my personal life. And so got a little off topic there, but again, Twitter, please be sure to follow that. The link is in the description. Just scroll down in the description. It's one of the top links. So the JHK forecast currently gives Joe Biden a 84.3% chance of winning, and that is really, really interesting because even at his high points, or was this? It was on July 20th, he had an 84% chance of winning. He had 83.7, and then he started to, he had like a 58% chance of winning in March, of course, and I remember back over here, in the very, very beginning of March, there was one point where it was like 51-49 in favor of Biden, but, as of right now, Joe Biden is the favorite to win, but, his lead was expanding, and then it kind of, stabilized the low 80s, towards the middle of June, and since then it's been stable. We had a point where it was in the low high 70s. Here it was at 77.8%. That was the lowest point. The debate did not help Donald Trump, but it went back up, and I think that's due to the debate, due to Democratic enthusiasm. And we're almost at the finish line. We have less than a month to go. And Joe Biden has an 84.3% chance of winning the White House. So we're going to take a look at our swing states. I've already done the labor of filling out the map. Can I get rid of that bottom chart? I don't like the bottom chart. Can I do none? There we go. So these are our margins. Again, I may be a little off. I spent 2 minutes on this, but there are some states that I disagree with in terms of margins. Georgia, I disagree with overall. I do think that the state will be a red state. But, Nevada and New Mexico, I do think that they're underestimating Donald Trump. I think they're underestimating him in Montana, as well as Kansas, Texas, and the Rust Belt, some regions, Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, I think, as well as New Hampshire and Maine, 2nd Congressional District. But I think that they're underestimating Biden in a few regions as well. I think they're underestimating him in Indiana. They're underestimating him possibly in Mississippi. And I do think that he could actually win Michigan and Minnesota by a bigger margin than they have him winning these states. So again, they have him have a 92% chance at winning the state, but that doesn't mean he's going to get 92% of the vote. That just means he's the favorite to win there. But they have him ahead by 8.7. And, again, this was a contested state back in March. Trump had a 1 in 3 chance of winning it. He had the same chance of winning Minnesota as Biden does at winning Texas. But that has since changed. And Minnesota's 10 electoral votes are very, very favored to go to Joe Biden, despite there are some right-wing internal polls that are having this as a tight race. Biden only up by 1, or Biden only, or tied. But again, polls like Trafalgar and Rasmussen are very inconsistent, as I've pointed out in past videos. Rasmussen is a poll. They put Biden behind by, or they put Trump ahead by 1 in Michigan, and they put Biden ahead by 4 in Ohio. That doesn't really seem to make sense to me, unless we see a very drastic swing in the voting, or in the votes. He swing to the right in Michigan, and a very extreme swing to the left in Ohio. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think if Biden wins Ohio, he's definitely going to be winning Michigan. So that's why I disagree with a lot of these polls. But the better polls, again, SurveyMonkey, I don't really like to look at. But a B+ rated poll sampling 800 voters, Biden ahead by 6. This is Minnesota, remember. I'm trying to find a really, really good poll, And again, they're using our 538's polling grade, PPP, public policy polling, Biden ahead by 10. A B+ rated poll, but I think that I can pull up Michigan polls based on 538, or I can filter it based on the best of the best polls, or not Michigan, Minnesota. But the best polls, the best of the best polls, A plus rated polls, A plus rated. Biden had by 17, sampling registered voters that we know will be voting, or at least can vote for sure. Biden had by 16, by 17, by 9. So these polls, I trust them a lot more than a D- rated poll or a right-wing internal poll, because they're internal polls for a reason. There are left-wing internal polls that have the state of Missouri as a tie. I don't believe that either. There are left-wing internal polls that put Biden ahead by 22 points in Pennsylvania. I don't believe that either. So you have to look at where these polls lean. That's important to look at. So you have to factor them in, of course. Rasmussen, even if I don't trust them, I still have to factor them into my methodology, for example. You just have to weight them less than you would weight an A-plus rated poll that's sampling registered voters. So not all polls are created equal. But now we're going to go stop that tangent and go talk about the swing states. So we're going to start with the state of Nevada. And Nevada, at one point, was actually basically a toss-up. Joe Biden, he only had a 66% chance of winning it, but since then, the polls that we've seen have been very, very good for him. I know Fox News putting him up by 11. This is an A- rated pollster by 10. And again, Rasmussen, which I mentioned, I called out that poll earlier. They put him ahead by 1. Again, you can tell, and here's another sign of a bad poll. It's an outlier. The range of polling, Nevada polls, if we look at the range, it'll show you where the dots are. It'll show you where stuff is. So, for example, there's one poll up here. See that red dot that put that poll was on August, towards the end of July. There was a poll that put Trump ahead in Nevada, and I'm gonna try to find that. Whoa, I scrolled down. Well, it doesn't want to show it, but it says there was a poll. Maybe they're not showing all the polls, but again, you have to look at the outliers. An outlier poll up here should not be weighted as much as a poll right here. So you have to remember that polls, you're gonna see crazy polls every once in a while, and some are gonna put Biden ahead by 25 in Utah. Others are going to put Trump ahead by 16 in the state of California. You have to call them out. So Nevada, anyways, has an 87% chance of going to Joe Biden. I think it should be lower due to Biden polling a little bit worse than Hillary Clinton with Latinos. But again, the state should not end up being super competitive the way a state like Ohio or North Carolina will be. So, yeah, Arizona, though, I think that this is an accurate reading. Maybe like a 65 or 2-3% chance, 2-3 chance of it going to Joe Biden. But Arizona, I think, is starting to solidify for the former vice president. And again, remember in March he only had a 4-10 chance at winning it, but he started surge and he officially became the favorite on May 15th. So since then, it's been very good for him. It's been a bit less consistent than I would like it to be, from a standpoint of judging the polls. But, again, he's surging right here and has hit his highest point ever in Arizona, and I believe he's done the same thing in Nevada. As for Texas, which I do consider to be a swing state despite characterizing it as a likely GOP state, again, Biden surging again. Back in March, he only had a 1 in 5 chance of winning, which is still nothing to sneeze at. But 1 in 5 has gone from 1 in 5 to basically a little more than 1 in 3. And then if you want to look at the Rust Belt, we talked about Minnesota, but Iowa, which actually was never the favorite to win, but is coming closer. I mean, his peak in Iowa was on August 1st, where it was essentially a toss-up, which it still is, but he is surging again. He was falling. He was in the high 30s, but now he's back to the mid 40s. Which is, of course, a good sign for him, because if he wins Iowa, that would be like Donald Trump winning Nevada. It would be very strange, and it would really, really hurt either campaign. So how about Ohio? Ohio has a bit better chance for going for Biden than Trump. Biden, I believe, has now hit his highest point ever in Ohio. He is now polling at has a 46% chance of winning Ohio. And what about, you're going to ask me, UAP? Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin is a weird state to poll, but it's still important to look at the polls, although they were pretty off in 2016. Trump was the favorite to win Wisconsin in the beginning of March. March, Trump was the projected winner of Wisconsin, but Biden overtook him officially on March 7th. And since then, it's really been smooth sledding for Biden from a standpoint of he's going up. He's surging in Wisconsin, and it's kind of hit his peak in the beginning of August, and then it fell a little bit, but it was fairly stable, and now he's surging again. And Indiana, I don't really want to talk about because I don't consider that to be a swing state. Pennsylvania, though, is arguably a swing state, so we will go over that. This state, Joe Biden was always the favorite to win as expected, but yeah, he's really surging. He's started his surge on September the 25th, and it's been nearly 3 weeks since then, and he has really continued that. It's not like a 2-day trend. He's continued that. North Carolina, again, another swing state for sure. In fact, this has been pretty consistent in that it's been flip-floppy. In March, Trump had the advantage, and then he let go of it. Or then it was actually tied between him and Biden in the middle of March. He retook it for a while. In fact, hit a decent point in the beginning of April, then lost it on April 26th, then regained it for a brief period of time in the beginning of May, then lost it and has not been able to come back since. He was making a bit of a comeback. Biden had a 55% chance of winning it on September 25th, but Biden surging again, and he had, I believe, his highest point. No, not his highest point. It's 64.2% compared to 61.3%, but he's doing very, very well in the state of North Carolina compared to where other Democrats have been. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama in 2012 and 2016 were never the favorites to win in North Carolina. Georgia has also been very tumultuous. Trump, he had a 70% chance of winning it back in March. Now, it's been very, swingy since June. Biden was the favorite for a while, then Trump overtook him. And I said, I don't really see Biden ever retaking the lead. But here he is. He's now hit his peak in Georgia, I believe, with a 53% chance at victory. His most similarly was 52% earlier. So it's essentially the same number. But still, nothing to sneeze at the fact that Georgia, which has been historically Republican, the last time it went blue, I think, was Jimmy Carter, which is pretty shocking. So, now South Carolina, in case you haven't noticed from other YouTubers, has a better chance of going blue than Michigan and Minnesota do of going red, as well as Pennsylvania. Actually, no. Basically Pennsylvania and in South Carolina are mirroring each other, but the opposite way. So South Carolina, Trump only had by 7. I actually want to see if their Senate forecast is there. But Trump, he had a stable lead as you'd expect, and then it's just kind of falling, I don't expect it to get any worse than 80% for him in South Carolina, but again, this should be a safe Republican state, and the fact that we're discussing putting it in the lean column really says a lot about how this campaign is going for both candidates. Now, New Hampshire, I do want to take a look at 90% chance for Biden. I do think that this is a relatively solid state for the former vice president. Nevertheless, I will give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. Colleges not all being in person could halt Democratic voter registration efforts, so let's just say Trump improves on the polling averages, even though that is unlikely. So, yeah, that's New Hampshire for you. So, again, guys, we've essentially gone over all the swing states. We can talk about Nebraska's 2nd district, but there's not too much to discuss there. Nebraska's 2nd district, 1 electoral vote. Biden had by 4. His 71.6% chance of winning it, and he overtook Trump on May 10th, has not looked back, and has now hit his highest point. So, again, that's essentially it when it comes to the 2nd district. So, guys, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow my Twitter, as I mentioned earlier in this video. Check out all the links in the description. Face reveal is tomorrow. Who is excited? I know I'm somewhat excited. So thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next one.